The moment Jack Forrester was sentenced, he knew that this would be no ordinary punishment. Convicted of a high-profile corporate heist and murder, Jack's trial had drawn international attention. But what shocked the public even more than the conviction was his sentence: Chrono Prison. The judges described it as a facility that existed outside of time, where convicts would serve not in years, but in moments, facing their past actions in ways they could not predict. When the transfer began, Jack felt the world twist around him. One moment he stood in the courtroom, the next he was floating in a void of shifting lights, then violently pulled into a stark room. This was Chrono Prison, a place where time did not move in a straight line. The prison's halls shimmered with the weight of past, present, and future, all colliding in one. Jack had barely gathered his bearings when the first shift happened. Without warning, he was no longer in the prison cell, but reliving a pivotal moment from his past, the night of the heist. He found himself standing in front of the vault he had cracked open. This time, however, it wasn't a simple memory. Jack had control, and every action felt real. Panic set in as he realized that any choice he made could affect not just his past, but his future. As Jack hesitated, the scene shifted back to the prison cell. Confused, he wondered if he had been in a hallucination, but the voice of a disembodied prison warden echoed through the walls, cold and mechanical. Every action you take here alters your timeline. You will face the consequences of all your choices in due time. Welcome to Chrono Prison. Jack soon realized that this was no ordinary prison. It was a twisted punishment. The prison was forcing him to relive key moments from his past, giving him the chance to change them. But with every shift in time, things grew more complex. The heist had been straightforward when he first lived it, but now strange details began to emerge, pieces of the puzzle that he had never noticed before. It was as though Chrono Prison itself was guiding him towards some hidden truth. Days, or what felt like days, passed in the shifting maze of Chrono Prison. Jack's experience was fractured, non-linear. One moment he was locked in his cell, the next he was back in a pivotal scene from his past. Conversations with his partners, moments leading up to the heist, even flashes of his childhood. But the more he relived these memories, the more Jack noticed inconsistencies, strange details that didn't fit in with his original recollections. The prison seemed to know something he didn't. In one moment, Jack relived the argument with his partner, Damien, on the night of the heist. He had always remembered Damien as the mastermind, the one who planned the crime. But in this version of the memory, Jack found himself questioning Damien's motives. Why had Damien insisted on such an elaborate plan? Why had Jack so easily gone along with it? Another shift pulled Jack to the day of the murder for which he had been convicted. He remembered it clearly, the chaos of the heist gone wrong, shots fired, and the victim, an innocent guard, lying dead. Jack had always accepted his guilt for the crime, but this time the scene played out differently. The guard wasn't just a bystander. He had known Jack. In fact, the guard had warned Jack to back out before the heist began, even suggesting that Jack was being set up. As Jack watched the scene unfold, he realized the truth. The murder had been orchestrated, but not by him. Damien had been manipulating Jack from the start, using him as a pawn in a larger game. Jack had been framed for the murder, and Chrono Prison was revealing the pieces of the puzzle that had been hidden from him. Frustration and anger welled up inside Jack. He had been convicted of a crime he hadn't committed, manipulated by someone he had trusted, but Chrono Prison wasn't done with him yet. The more Jack uncovered, the more tangled his timeline became. Each revelation altered his perception of the past, and each choice he made now reverberated through his history, reshaping it in ways he couldn't control. Then came the most chilling realization. Jack wasn't just reliving his own actions, he was affecting the future. With every new piece of information, every choice he made inside the prison, his timeline shifted in unpredictable ways, and now he wasn't sure if his attempts to uncover the truth were helping him or trapping him deeper in a web of paradox. Jack's final test came when the prison shifted again, pulling him into the heart of the crime for which he had been imprisoned, the moment the heist went wrong. But this time, Chrono Prison presented him with a terrifying revelation. He had a choice. Standing in the vault with Damien once more, Jack realized the heist was not just about the money. Damien had orchestrated everything, from the beginning, with the intent to eliminate their partners and pin the blame on Jack. The guard's murder wasn't an accident. It had been part of Damien's plan all along. Chrono Prison was giving him the opportunity to undo the past, but at a price. If Jack acted now, he could prevent the murder, change the course of events, and clear his name. But to do so, he would have to sacrifice something far greater. his own identity. The prison warden's voice echoed again, warning Jack that every choice in Chrono Prison came with consequences. Changing the past would erase his future self. He would stop existing as he knew it, replaced by a version of himself who had never committed the crime, who had never gone to prison. Jack wrestled with this decision. On one hand, he could rewrite history, erase his guilt, and live a life free of the mistakes that had landed him in Chrono Prison. But with the other, he would lose everything he had learned, every experience that had shaped him. He wouldn't be the same person anymore. It was a paradox. Save himself, but lose himself. As time folded in on itself, Jack made his choice. He couldn't live with the burden of a crime he hadn't committed, but he also couldn't let go of the person he had become. In the final moments before the shift, Jack altered the timeline, not by preventing the murder, but by ensuring Damien's betrayal was exposed and that justice was served without erasing his identity. The prison released him. Jack emerged into a world where the crime had been rewritten, where he had been exonerated, but at the cost of living with the knowledge of everything he had seen. Chrono Prison had forced him to confront his deepest fears, his darkest choices, and now, freed, Jack understood the true cost of tampering with time. He had gained redemption, but lost a part of himself in the process.